In this video, I'll be telling you everything you need to know about Stocks and Shares ISAs, a Stocks and Shares ISA Bible.
The Bible. This is the Bible.
In short, a Stocks and Shares ISA is the best way to invest because your capital gains, dividends, and bond interest will all grow tax-free. Through this video, I'm going to be talking you through the basics, the investment approach, as well as reference to a few specific brokers you can use to start investing. And then at the end, I'm going to go through a little Instagram Q&A of some common questions that I got on Instagram. In terms of the basics then, as I mentioned, Stocks and Shares ISAs are the best way to invest because your capital gains, bond interest, and dividends will all be tax-free.
Yeah, boy.
Each year, we have a £20,000 allowance, which is actually pretty generous compared to other countries. In the US, they only have a $6,000 allowance. So 20K is a very generous allowance. And if possible, you want to be making as many investments as possible inside of the ISA because that money will grow tax-free. The only prerequisites to be able to open a Stocks and Shares ISA is to be 18 and to be a UK resident. So I wanted to make a point of this, but it's important to understand that an ISA is just a wrapper. This was something that I was confused about when I first started looking into them in 2018, but all it is a wrapper, and then anything you then put in that wrapper will then grow tax-free forever. Of course, what you can put into the ISA wrapper is limited to what platform you use. So with Vanguard, for example, they only offer Vanguard index funds and ETFs, whereas Trading 212 offer thousands of different ETFs and stocks. But the important thing is, it's just a wrapper. You can use a general account where your gains will be taxed in the future, or the ISA wrapper, which is just a type of account where the gains will be tax-free in the future.
You serious?
Another point I wanted to make is that you can only contribute to one Stocks and Shares ISA each tax year. If you have Stocks and Shares ISAs from previous tax years, that's completely fine. They can continue to grow, but you can only contribute to one each tax year. If you currently have a Stocks and Shares ISA with Vanguard and you want to have a Stocks and Shares ISA with Trading 212, you can't contribute to both. You would need to initiate a transfer from Vanguard to Trading 212 and then start contributing to the Trading 212 Stocks and Shares ISA. So I've rattled through them, but that is the basics out of the way. Now to get onto the investment approach. So in the UK, we're quite lucky in that we have a ton of different brokers. I'm going to be making a video on choosing the best broker for you. I can only really speak about the brokers that I personally have accounts with because I've looked into them and understand how their fees work, which is Vanguard, Hargreaves Lansdown, Freetrade, and Trading 212. But in general, the most important question you want to ask yourself is, what will you be investing into? If it's just funds, or just stocks, or both. For example, Vanguard, you can only invest into Vanguard funds, but as I mentioned, with Trading 212, there are thousands of different stocks and ETFs. So that's the most important question you want to ask yourself, but I will be making a full video on that at some point. So in the UK, there are three main approaches when it comes to investing and also choosing a Stocks and Shares ISA. Money Saving Expert has written a handy blog summarising this, but I'll also break it down for you now. So the three main approaches are do it yourself, do it with me, and do it for me. Do it yourself is pretty self-explanatory. It's where you have complete control and autonomy over what you want to invest in. Do it with me is similar to do it yourself, but there's a bit of restriction on what you can invest into. So an example, as I've already mentioned, is Vanguard, where you can only invest into Vanguard index funds and ETFs. The third and final one is do it for me, which is the most hands-off one. You essentially will answer a series of profiling questions. They will work out your risk tolerance and then usually put your money into a conservative portfolio or an aggressive portfolio. In terms of do it yourself, two popular choices are Freetrade and Trading 212, which are mobile apps where you can set up an account and start investing pretty quickly. The only downside to these is that because they're mobile apps, even though they're zero commission, you may be enticed into buying and selling more and end up buying and selling based on emotion and checking your account every day, which is not something you want to do. Another option is Hargreaves Lansdown, which have a 0.45% platform fee. They also have a range of index funds, stocks, and ETFs. I think the biggest product offering in the UK. However, because of that, you pay a higher fee compared to Trading 212 and Freetrade, which are zero commission, 0% platform fee. In terms of do it with me, the best option is Vanguard, which have a 0.15% platform fee. That's who I personally use for my Stocks and Shares ISA. But as we mentioned, they're restricted in the sense that you can only invest into Vanguard funds and ETFs. However, if that's all you want to invest into, like me, then that'll be perfect for you. In terms of do it for me platforms, I actually don't use any of these personally, but I've had a quick look at the Money Saving Expert blog article, which will be linked in the description, and I'd recommend you have a quick skim through. But the three main providers he recommends are Nutmeg, Wealthify and Open Money. However, just scanning the fees here are higher than Vanguard, Trading 212 and Freetrade, and I guess you're essentially paying a higher fee because you're doing less work. I would probably recommend, if you are interested in taking more control over your investments, to go with either do it with me or do it yourself, as you also then pay a lower fee. We've gone through the basics and the investment approaches. I'm now going to move on to a quick Instagram Q&A of some questions that I got, but before I do, I just wanted to quickly touch on the difference between pensions and ISAs, which I will make a full video on, but the main difference is that with ISAs, you contribute out of your net pay. So you've earned some money, you've paid income tax, and then you contribute to an ISA, which then grows tax-free forever. Whereas with pensions, you contribute to your pension out of your gross pay. So you don't pay any income tax today, but you then pay tax on your pension when you're 55 in 30 or 40 years time. Moving on now to the Instagram Q&A, I ended up getting 46 questions, so thank you to everyone who submitted one, and we're going to try and rattle through a few of the common questions that I got. A lot of them are to do with picking a platform. Hopefully this video has helped. I personally, as I've said many times, I stick to Vanguard. It's very boring, very low frills. It's not an exciting website, nothing's flashing. Just log on, set up an automatic monthly investment, and then watch your wealth grow over time. If you don't want to choose Vanguard or you want to invest into individual stocks, then the best place to probably start is either Trading 212 or Freetrade, but just don't get drawn in to buying on emotion and checking your app every day, as that's not a healthy habit. I've got a question here. Can I invest into a stocks and shares ISA and a lifetime ISA on different platforms? Yes, you can. Or best to keep both under one. It's really personal preference. It might be easier from a managing your money point of view to have it on one platform. In terms of ISAs more generally, you have 4 different types: cash, stocks and shares, lifetime and innovative, and you can open up and contribute to one of each type each tax year. I've also got quite a few questions on what is the best index fund, what is the best stock, what do I think of EV stocks. I obviously can't give individual stock recommendations, but let alone that, I don't really invest into individual stocks. My investing approach, which I will do a video on, is very boring, very simple and very automated, and it just involves investing monthly into a global index fund through Vanguard's platform, and I've been doing that for 2.5 years now. And that is why I generally speak about Vanguard a lot and recommend them, because it's a very boring, low frills way to build wealth, and that is what you want. I've got quite a few questions on the providers. Hopefully this video has helped highlight a few providers in the UK. There are so many, it would take hours to go through every single one and all of their fees. But if you have any questions on the providers I mentioned, please leave them in the comments and I'll do my best to try and help you out. As I mentioned, you want to try and decide whether you want to invest into stocks or funds or a mixture of both, and then work backwards to see which provider is best for you. Do you know of any other stocks and share platforms that let you do a weekly investment? I know Vanguard and Hargreaves Lansdown, you can only do a monthly investment, because I just checked that out. However, I think Trading 212, you can set up a pie and you can have that invested into weekly, so that's probably the best option for you. Is it 20k each year? So if I had maxed out 20k this year, I get another 20k next year? Yes, that is correct. You get an allowance every single year, which is currently £20,000, which runs from April to April. Also got a few questions about how much should you contribute to a stocks and shares ISA, what is a sensible percentage of your net monthly income. As much as possible, really. The more you can invest now, the more your investments are going to grow, and the quicker you will essentially achieve financial freedom if that's what you're aiming for. But if you're currently investing nothing, then 10% is a good way to start. And then what you'll find is, hopefully over time, as you see your money growing, you'll then want to slowly up that from 10% to 15 to 20 and so on as your wealth is building. So that's all the questions I'm going to answer today. I've got quite a few also on lifetime ISAs, junior ISAs and cash ISAs, so I may make a separate video on each of them type of ISAs. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to try and help you. And thank you very much for tuning in.